What's up, y'all? It's your boy Niner Faithful. How is everybody doing? Tuesday. Let's move. But and those we appreciate it. The day now. Merchandise that we are going to be shipped. It's on its way. It will be here by Thursday. So we're gonna have our Raheem the Dream t-shirts and our Red is for Royalty gold t-shirts available for everybody. Of course, we're gonna have TVs. You know we can't miss the game. We gotta have the game on, right? So make it come from out of town. I don't want to it. Nah. You need to come. It's gonna be the time of your life. We're gonna have bomb food you could possibly want. Hello, baby. I see you in the comments right there. How you doing, my queen? So before we get into the game and everything, you know I gotta bring them on. Ladies and gentlemen, the Steve to my Jerry, Mr. Adam P. from 49ers Insiders. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Not too bad, my dog. How you doing?
Legendary. You know how it is. So as I was opening up the show and everything, that was an ass whooping. I think that I shouldn't say definitely not but let's be real. We both thought it was going to be a close game. So I was kind of sitting back like, is this really happening? Like,
I was, we were kind of expecting maybe a little surge at one point. Obviously, I think we both felt. I mean, everybody out there mostly felt like, all right, even if they make a surge, we can hold this down. I mean, honestly, it would have been a giant collapse. I mean, I hope people didn't have 28-3 in mind when it comes to the Falcons and the Patriots. But yeah, needless to say, I mean, Vegas had once again. I think we talked about this. New England was -2.5. They were their favorite because they were at home, obviously. But yeah, my early prediction was like 23-20, 26-23 49ers, and great win besides the ending, which we'll get into as far as Debo boys go.
Yeah, we're gonna, I mean, I want to get into it a little bit deeper, but first I want to get over some notes. But I will go ahead and piggyback off of what you said right now, and say that we need to. It is something that needs to be addressed. And look, in a 30, because of 28-3, I think that's why Debo is in the game. And taking a running back handoff, and we could even point to last year with Joe Staley, and Joe Staley breaks his leg in a game that was well decided. And it was to the point where why was Joe Staley even out there? But before we get into this, I thought I would go over a couple notes that I thought were interesting from this game. The Niners improved to 9-5 overall against the Patriots and 5-3 on the road, including back-to-back wins at Gillette Stadium. Of course, as we all know, 2012 and then now in 2020. The Niners have won the first 3 road games of the season in back-to-back years for the first time since 89-90. It was the biggest home loss in the Bill Belichick era. This one comes from Jason. Big shout out to Jason. And the Bill Belichick's entire time coaching the Patriots, the Niners have never faced. He has never faced the same Niner coach twice. I thought there was a little just cool little tidbits, especially about the one that the first time opening up the season back-to-back years with 3 straight wins on the road. That's a pretty big accomplishment. I think some of these stats that we've seen fallen recently with Shanahan, I think you have to check the era, and kind of it's more of a passing league now than when a lot of these records were set. But
right.
This one is legit. This one, I mean, I don't care what era you're in, to win 3 straight road games. I mean, obviously there's a Super Bowl caliber teams between now, then and now that definitely you would think would have run 3 road games in a row back-to-back years. But, I mean, hey, there's literally a Super Bowl team in there, the 94 Super Bowl team. You'd think they would have done it, 93, 94, 94, 95. But anyway, to get into
shout out New York Giants. Shout out New York Giants and Jets is what I got to say.
Yeah. Yes. Thank y'all for being on the schedule early in the season.
Yes.
Yeah. No, most definitely. I would dare to say, I'm almost ashamed of myself to not look up who was the first 3 road team. So how about this? How about the first person who leaves a comment in the section, what were those essentially 6 road games in 89, 90 that we won 3 in a row? I'll go ahead and give you a Raheem the Dream T-shirt for free. So go ahead and leave a comment. The first person to comment will go ahead and win that. But
all right.
Points off for turnovers. We were both talking about how turnovers and being plus in the turnover category was important. We got 10 points. They got 3 off of turnovers. Third down, we were 5 of 9. They were 1 for 6, and we were both in agreement in our preview show that we needed to run the football. Time of possession, 38-23 to I just had it and I lost it. 38-23 to 21-37. I mean, that's essentially over a half of football that we control.
And that 21, that's 21 was
ball control.
Last, and they were running it like the last 2 drives and doing screens and stuff. So that 21 could have been like, if we were scrapping down like we would, like they might have literally had 16 minutes of time of possession for the entire game. 17. I mean, that's scary. That's a great one right there. 21 with garbage time included, and then we're doing dump offs and stuff. That's pretty impressive.
I think we lost Adam there for a second. We got you, bro?
I think I'm here. Am I here?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got you. Yeah, we got you. Okay, you dropped out there for a second. Yeah, but so I think there's been a divide of the empire, whether it's do we praise Jimmy for the game that we had, or does Kyle trust Jimmy and all that. But if you talk to any coach, the Niners essentially want to be around a 50-50 split with running the ball. We had 26 first downs in the game. Literally 13 were passing, 13 were running, 5.3 yards per rush, 10.4 yards per pass. I mean, to me, this is what I think what Kyle Shanahan wants his offense to be. You saw it. To me, I feel that the tone was set when Jimmy took off, and essentially that was Jimmy saying, hey, look, you know what? I'm not going – we're not – this ain't happening. We're going down. We're scoring. We're playing from ahead. We're taking control of this game. I'm the quarterback. I'm going to get this first down. Obviously, there was a little bit of adrenaline flowing because he knew where he was at, obviously. So I think that, of course, had a little bit to do with it. And you kind of saw when he got up, he gave the ball a little spike. It wasn't exuberant, but you could tell he was fired up, and being in New England definitely had something to do with that. But I think that offensively, this was the perfect game plan. I think that what I saw on Sunday was what we saw that led us to an NFC Championship game. And I'm not ready to quite go there yet. I think that Sunday will tell you a lot. Look, that we could all point to that game, and clearly that's an inferior New England team. That's not the Bill Belichick New England team that we know. We could all agree to that. That they just don't that championship spirit that you and I had discussed on Friday that we both assumed that would show up and why it would be a close game and a dogfight, just because champion, that culture that I did not see that on Sunday. I didn't see any type of New England championship culture.
But we talked about this though, as we talked about as far as the going into the game. I believe their defensive yards per game. Remember when I pulled it up? I think they were literally ninth, if my memory serves correct. So
it was around.
Never mind their offense. I mean, Shanny just straight up out schemed Billy B. Like we haven't seen Billy B be out schemed on defense since who? I mean, I'm not even going to pull up the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a Super Bowl. I mean, during I can't remember the last time during the regular season they've gotten beat down like that defensively. Never mind their offense. We know about that. I mean, all around, just super impressive. Once again, without our starting center, being without a couple backs, no Jordan Reed, as we all know about. I mean, but we'll finally get our test. I mean, our real test against the Seahawks, obviously, this Sunday. If I'm still live, am I still here? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, of course. I think.
Did you get that? Okay, because you glitched up for a second. But yeah, we're finally gonna. I mean, and it really hurts to not have Debo. Okay. You don't understand because I think he's a clear, clear difference maker, tone setter. But if we can beat the Seahawks, and I think they're favored -3.5, and they're at home. So once again, Vegas essentially thinks it's a coin flip game. But if we can beat them without Debo and the other guys, some of them I mentioned right now, I'm not sure if Garland will be back after this. No, Garland's on injured reserve. My apologies. But yeah, we can pull off this one on the road without their home field advantage element.
Yes.
And we're 5-3.
This is.
I mean, 5-3 is so much better than 4-4. I mean, there's no clear other way around that. Especially when you're in a dogfight over, once again, I mean, halfway through the season is going to be this Sunday, so it's very important to put yourself in a prime playoff position.
I know that in our group text and everything, you had put out the text of your division winners and what you think as far as playoff seeds and everything like that. And I agree with you, but
and it looked a little better.
When you look at it from exactly with
so I had Packers.
What I think is.
Sorry, go ahead.
What I think we'll get into that on Friday, but what I think essentially it's going to come down to is if we win this Sunday, the division is a possibility. Now, will it be a reality? Over the course of season, as we start to see, the Packers, as we start to see the Saints, as we start to see Buffalo, and over the course of, I keep on waiting for that. Obviously the Miami game, but I keep on waiting for that, okay, this is clearly the injuries catching up moment. And I thought maybe we would get it a little bit this week with Marcel Harris and T. Moore, who we will definitely get into T. Moore when we talk about the defense in a second. But, this is to me, this is the stat of the game and the tone setter of the game. According to CBS Sports, Wilson's 3-yard touchdown was the first opening drive touchdown allowed by the Patriots at home since 2016, October 2nd, 2016 versus Buffalo. So when you start to talk about something that's been 4 years, like we said, the most lopsided home loss in the Bill Belichick era, when you start talking about things like this starts to say, hey, you know what, there might be a little something here. Now, I think that we do need to slow our roll a little bit, including myself. We all know how I get on Victory Mondays. There's a reason we stopped doing the show on Mondays. We know how I get. But,
I mean, I don't think
I think it's important to slow our roll.
I don't think we're over-celebrating anything.
No, to go in there.
I mean, it was scary because we could have been 2-5 maybe. I mean, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Look, I think that you celebrate it. You know what I'm saying? Look, that's a championship culture. You feel me? That this loss, I feel that this loss will really be felt in New England. This kind of reminds me almost what it must have. I was too young to remember, but this might remind me a little bit of almost what it felt like in '91. As you watched Joe get carted off the field, in the NFC Championship game. That kind of. I remember watching Steve Young. What I can compare it to is watching Steve Young lay on the floor motionless in Arizona, and my little 13-year-old self crying, saying, "Please get up, Steve. Please get up. Please get up." Because I knew I was going to the Niner game the next week, so I wanted to see Steve play. But anyway,
yeah, they definitely felt it.
It's just to me, this is really where I put it. I put to this is a lot of the questions that we had. Hey, is the secondary really this good? Is the secondary really legit? Let's matter of fact, let's just go ahead and go right into the defense. I think, obviously, we'll save it later, but Team Moore. I mean, you and I are basically saying when this team, team is, or, I think the future might be coming sooner than we expect, maybe. We'll see yet again. Cam Newton's Russell Wilson's a different beast than Cam Newton. And I think if you put a gun to Robert Saleh's head, he wants Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt back there this week. But Team Moore deserves credit where it's due. I mean, to me, he made some of the biggest plays of the game. He had the third down tackle that forced a fourth down on New England's opening drive. And then right after Jimmy's first pick, which we'll get into a little bit later, he forced an incompletion that made them kick a field goal. And to me, that definitely could, if you want to point to a moment that this game possibly could have changed, they go in and they score a touchdown there, and it's 7-7. Now it's a different ball game. And it has a totally different feel. And so I think that Team Moore definitely deserves credit. Jamal Taylor. I think I was ready to almost piss myself when I found out Quan was missing time. I've been banging the table saying K'Waun Williams is one of the most underrated defenders on our team. And I think everybody's going to look at him being a free agent as, oh, no, whatever. No, he's going to demand some money because the people who matter, the ones who are going to divvy out those contracts, trust me, they don't overlook K'Waun Williams. And so, that's a big, huge question mark going into the offseason. But with Jamal Taylor, I mean, the first 49ers defender to have 2 or more interceptions in a game since Chris Borland did it, tallied 2 against Eli Manning and the Giants, November of 2014. So, I mean, that tells you a little something that you're talking about the Harbaugh era since this has happened. And to have it come from a defensive back, which our defensive backs, what's the number one thing really maligned about our defensive backs, especially our safeties? They don't make picks. And so to have, Jamal Taylor, a defensive back, make 2 picks, I think that's a huge thing. And so I'm not saying that he's going to come in and replace Williams, but, maybe K'Waun, and of course we want him against, Golden Tate. Like, hey, tip my cat against Julian Edelman, Jamal Taylor, but we want K'Waun back for Golden Tate. You know what I'm saying? Please, if there's any possibility, at least go out there and try.
Oh, are you talking about against the Seahawks?
We're against Golden Tate, or I say Golden Tate, Tyler Lockett. What did I say, Golden?
There you go. I was like
Tyler Lockett. Yeah, bad. Why is it Golden Tate? I don't know why I said Golden Tate. Tyler Lockett. Excuse me.
All the same player.
Yeah. Look. So, a little couple more things I want to get into. Just another thing. JaMycal Hasty, 9 carries, 57 yards. I'm looking forward to what we're going to see. We assume will be a little bit more carries from Hasty. I'm looking forward to that. I think it's pretty obvious Jet needs to be a third down back. And I'm all for JaMycal getting a lot of the bulk of the carries. Let's see.
Supposedly,
obviously, if Jet gets a hot hand.
Coleman could become available, but
Shanahan said,
yeah. I'm not banking on it either. I'm just saying. But yeah, I agree. And I think Hasty could be a great weapon against Seattle.
Yes. They have – look, this is not to give away too much of our preview or anything, but I think it's very clear that this week the key is I trust that we'll win this game because I trust our defense to make a one or two crucial stops. I don't trust Seattle's defense to stop us. I think that we're going to be able to move the ball and score at will, essentially. And I don't Russell Wilson – beast, whatever, you know me. Everybody who knows me knows I think he's overrated as hell. But
even
show me where he gets it done.
He's a clear-cut MVP so far.
I think because he's a great quarterback. You know what? That brings me into an interesting stat because I think that everybody, I think a lot of people with Jimmy, to tie this into Russ and Jimmy, obviously everybody would know, okay, you'd rather have Russell Wilson than Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, I'm not going to get into that debate. What I'm saying is I trust Jimmy with intangibles. There's a reason Joe's the GOAT. Joe's not the GOAT because he went 4-0. Joe was the GOAT because when he came into a huddle and he looked his teammates in the eyes and he said, we're going to get this done, they believed. Look, football is the ultimate want-to sport. You got to want to go over the middle. You got to want to do it. And so to be able to have a quarterback believe, look, it's clear. The statistics are out there. We know this. The Kyle Shanahan, in the Shanahan era, we win with Jimmy. We struggle with any other quarterback. It's clear. We've tried 3 other quarterbacks. They've all struggled. Nick Mullins was the only one that had any semi-success. And we saw how quickly that could fall apart against the Eagles. You feel me? So clearly we all know in Miami it was get out there, Jimmy, you're our best hope. I'd rather try you out for a half on one ankle than trot out Nick Mullins there healthy against Miami. That's what it clearly was. So the intangibles, Joe only led the team. I looked this up. Joe only led the league in passing twice. And it was 1982 and 1987. And he only led the league in touchdowns in 1987 and 1989, which 1987 is when so you clearly see he led the league in touchdowns and yardage in 1987, which is the year that we traded for Steve Young. Coincidence? I think not. So you look at Joe, a 4-time Super Bowl. The only time he won the Super Bowl and led the league in passing was 89. So that tells me that majority of the time, the team that won had the highest passing touchdowns and had the highest yardage didn't win the Super Bowl. And so that to me is, look, Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. Yes, he is. I hate him, but yes, he is. He's a great quarterback. You feel me? But in the moments when it gets done, when it's time to that's just basically my whole thing. Now, we'll save the She-Cock rant for next week, but or later this week. But to me, this Niner game, this simply comes down to another stat, and I think this all sums it up right here. I got Brandon Ayuk, Hasty, and everything like that. But the 49ers defense allowed 59 total net yards in the first half, the fewest allowed by the 49ers the first half of game since Cap's first start in 2012 against the Bears, where they allowed 35 net yards allowed. The defense registered 4 picks in one game, the most by the team since 2014, which was 5 picks against the same game that Chris Borland had 2 picks. Cam Newton was 9 of 15 for 98 yards, 3 picks, 5 carries for 19 yards. New England yards per rush, 4.3. I mean, that to me says that we're clearly not the defense. We don't have the pass rush that we did, but the drop-off that we expected minus the Dolphins game, which, let's be realistic, that was Brian Allen giving up 3 touchdowns. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But minus that game, the drop-off we expected, oh, my God, we're missing Sherm. Oh, my God, we're missing Bosa. Oh, my God, we're missing Solomon Thomas. The drop-off really hasn't come. I mean, even the Eagles game, which we lost, we only gave up 18 points in that game.
Yeah, that was, like I said, that was
If I
out of
look
the
at,
world impressive.
yeah, if I look you in the eyes, and I right now, and I told you before the season that the Niners would give up at worst their biggest game so far, minus the Dolphin game, they would give up 18 points to the Eagles, 23 to the Cardinals, and then we'll take, and then obviously we'll exclude the Dolphins game. Would you? I mean, think about that. The worst we gave up is 23 points. You would
Like
believe the
collectively,
Niners have a
like the
winning
average.
record.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
collectively, the average points given up defensively is what, like 16, 17 without the Dolphins game, maybe
18.
18.
Whatever.
Pretty
And I
good.
told you,
You have Shanny on your side. Pretty good.
yeah. So the point is, if the defense continues on the pace where they can even slip a little bit and go to, let's just say 20 to 23 points a game, they could slip up as they face these better offenses. Let's be real. They're gonna, the Seahawks are gonna score points. The Aints are gonna score points. The Packers are gonna score points. But if we can give up 23, I like the Niners in this game. I trust Kyle Shanahan to be able to get us an average of 24 points a game.
That's why every single game
we better.
We feel like we got a shot at least.
Yes. I continue to always preach this. There's no game that I go into feeling that we have a disadvantage coaching-wise offensively.
Well, essentially, especially in an offensive league, you just feel like you got a shot. You feel like, all right, Shanny can pull out something out of a hat every single game, and so far it's on a roll. That's why I think this game is going to be, like we were thirsty for these games because we knew if we didn't pull at least one out of two, we'd be screwed probably for the playoffs. So now that's at least we have that going on our side. But yeah, when you have somebody like Shanny, like you just pray your defense can hold enough. Like it's like a 180 from the Harbaugh years. Harbaugh years, what was it? Hopefully we can hold them underneath like 18 points. And you knew like, man, it's possibly going to be a struggle to get 20 to win the game. And it was a different kind of sweat. Now it's like obviously you still sweat a little bit, but once again, that's been the formula. You take the lead and offense can still pull up points, and we can do what Shanny does, run the ball, play actions and all that. I mean, we just saw what happened when those things happened against the Patriots and, against the Rams, who beat up the Bears pretty good actually yesterday by 2 touchdowns, and both teams were in playoff contention. So it feels good just to have an offensive-minded guy. That's why for the rest of my life, I'll always be like, having defensive-minded head coach is cool and all, but if you have a good offensive coordinator, he's going to leave, and every year you're going to not have continuity on offense and yada yada. Look what's happening to the Vikings, for Lord's sake. I mean,
exactly.
They lose their offensive coordinator, and look at them now. And then they have a talented offense overall. I know Dalvin Cook's missed a game or two. I mean, and look at us. Even with our injuries, what we're doing. So it feels. It feels good, and I tip my hat off to Shanny and Saleh. This is the first time ever where it feels like Saleh is actually legit coming through, especially with the injuries. And I don't know. I know it's not all him. I still think behind the scenes, John Lynch, even Mike Shanahan probably helps out defensively.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
From knowing offense so good. So, but I still tip my cat off to both those guys. So let's make it 3 in a row. That's all I got to say.
Chris Korsaric. Exactly. And so, it's as I said, for those who saw my, Victory Monday, post with Jimmy with the victory chain. Oh yeah, I was hyped. When I saw that, I was like, oh, I got to get some Jimmy G Cool Drip. Anyway, so
I was like 23-year-old like Jimmy right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so
he did and everything.
The hang loose and everything. But it's a week-to-week season. Like we came on the show and we've always said, I like this is one thing I tell people. Hey, the reason you support Niner Faithful Radio is because Adam and I stay pretty consistent. We like to stay pretty consistent, and so we acknowledge things like, hey, yeah, our Super Bowl chances took a big hit when we lost Bosa, but we've tried to say that the season's not over. You feel me? And this is why is all of a sudden you could beat the Yams. All of a sudden, you could beat the Patriots. Then, hey, you go in and you shock the world and beat Seattle. And all of a sudden, you're sitting at 5-3 halfway through the season, and you're saying, hey, you know what? 5-3 with what we've gone through as a football team, expecting that we're going to start getting healthier as the season progresses. This might be we can make a little noise.
I dream about guys coming back every night, my guy. No matter who it is.
Oh yeah. I mean,
every little bit counts. Like being on this roll, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Debo's a big loss. I think losing Jeff Wilson sucks. We're going to end up stats because this shocked me. Jeff Wilson over his career. 17.12, 6 points average, 3 touchdowns. Over his career, he has 15.1 snaps per at 7.5 touches per touchdown. So that means basically 7.5 times he touches the ball, he scores a touchdown.
Average 6.6 yards.
Touchdowns are the most by a 49er per carry. That's a beast.
He had a great game.
That's a beast.
Punishing, that Jeff Wilson
he was playing physical. Yeah. Look, I give the Niners. It was definitely, and obviously, it's easier to do offense, defense, and special teams. The 2 formables, we played physical. You could tell the team was they were bringing the thunder, and that's what I love to see.
All right, guys. He's rebooting right now as we speak from the looks of it.
Okay.
Lost TJ for a second.
My bad. So Roger Craig is the 3 touchdowns Jeff Wilson are the most by 49ers running back on the road since Roger Craig registered 3 rushing touchdowns against the LA Yams October 16th of 1988. So I think that more than say, oh my God, to compare, Jeff Wilson to Roger Craig, I think that tells you that Kyle Shanahan's on a not quite there, but he's on a trajectory of a Bill Walsh type level with the things that he's able to do. I think that's more the 3 touchdowns we give. We tip our caps to Mr. Jeff Wilson, Jr. And obviously he was a man on a mission, and I love it. But we tip our caps to you. But I think that was Shanahan. And what we're starting to see is the offense that we thought we would, which is, hey, we can pretty much plug in anybody back there, and they're going to run the rock.
Shout out offensive line.
Yes. Big shout out. I mean, to me, I saw Trent Williams pick somebody up and just toss him over the sideline. Like literally pick somebody up, another grown man, and pick him up and toss him like they were a child. That's Trent Williams playing pissed a little bit. I think Trent I think Trent heard some maybe Trent's washed up. I think Trent heard some, you could clearly tell he was a little salty. Yeah. Basically. Yeah. And you know what?
Our 2 tackles. Surprise.
Yeah. Surprise. Our 2 first-round Pro Bowl caliber, well, maybe not Michael McGlinchey, but our first 2 first-round bookend tackles. We need to, hey, you know what, Faithful? We need to do it. We need to talk more shit to Trent and Mike. If this is how they play after we talk shit to them, then we need to talk shit to them every week. Love y'all.
I'm sure Joe Staley reached out to Mike McGlinchey. He probably kept it real with them too. And honestly, by the way, Mike's an excellent run blocker. That's a part of the reason we all know.
Yeah.
A was a little part of the money, but I don't think it obviously was more so than not. But he's an excellent run blocker, and obviously you've seen the kind of work we've been putting in. He just needs to improve at some of his pass protection still. And once again, we talked about the weight loss. I don't think has helped a lot. That's why he got bull rushed a couple times in a row against the Eagles. But hopefully that's something that can still kind of come along some. I literally look for his body type. I literally paying attention to the game. I'm like, does he look a little big? Does he look about the same? I feel like he maybe packed on a couple pounds, but nothing drastic.
Yeah, maybe. maybe, I think, and I love that. I think Joe Staley gave a phone call, and I think Joe Staley, he still holds weight in that room. Obviously, he still holds weight in that room. So I think Joe Staley made a couple phone calls and said, "Look, this is not the standard of which we're going to play." And George Kittle, big shout out to George Kittle because he was open. He has been very open about how he's because look, Joe Staley pretty much ran the offensive locker room. He was the voice. It was when Joe spoke, everybody shut up, and that's missing obviously this year. And the big reason is Kittle. People know who's the best player on offense. George Kittle. He's the captain. He's the voice in that locker room, and he's talked about how he's learning how to be that captain. He's learning how to be that voice in the room, and to be able to do it and be very open about, hey, you know what? After that Dolphins game, I did reach out to Joe, and I did say, hey, guide me. I need some advice. I need some help. And big shout outs for him doing that, and big shout outs for him to be man enough and open enough about that to be like, hey, look, this is new to me. I'm trying my best, but that's not acceptable, and I will do better going forward. And right. This is why he's the highest paid tight end in the league.
I agree, and my point was going to be Trent Williams is still kind of earning his stripes with it. Losing Joe Staley, obviously you lose that from a leadership standpoint, but somebody like Trent Williams, it's not like we took the right tackle, stood him over at left. Like Trent Williams, even though he has familiar with Shanny, I don't think he's still earning the respect and the stripes to everybody. Even though we know he's a great overall talent, and hopefully by the end of the year he can be considered top 2, if not top 3 best tackles in the game. I thought he had a chance to become the best left tackle in the game again, but we'll see how that one goes. But the point is, I don't think all of a sudden he can get in guys' faces some and chew them out and ask for a lot more in a gritty type of way as somebody that like Joe Staley, who's been there forever, or let's just say if Trent Williams would have been with us for a couple of years, I think it would have been a little different. So I don't think you can just all of a sudden just tear into the offensive line, if you are just because you are the best, which we know he is, because he's still relatively so fresh to the team, and hopefully. And maybe that's why you've seen some of the change. Maybe now he did take a little bit some of that on him, where behind the scenes he's being a little more vocal and maybe tearing into guys a little more. Not necessarily, it's not how you say it, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, whatever. So hopefully, as time goes by, he can keep demanding more and more, perhaps, and that'll bring out the best out of him too, because you can't just be saying all this crazy stuff and your play is not the best. So hopefully it'll go hand in hand as the season progresses, and the offensive line does so as well. Is my point.
Exactly. No, big shout out to the offensive line. Look, we were critical of them, and they deserved it. And this is what I loved. I remember being quite, you could tell I was a little fired up about it, and basically saying, hey, look, we called you out. Now are you man enough to deal and do something about it? Basically is what I remember wrapping up the Dolphins review about it. Is, hey, look, that's not acceptable. We need to play to a higher standard, and what are you made out of? And look, they rose to the challenge. I could be, as a former very low level, I didn't even play in high school, offensive lineman, I'm proud to say that they took that personally. I mean, I think when you get your quarterback benched, I remember one game, it was flag football, but I remember one game we got our quarterback benched. And I remember the leader of our offensive line basically chewing us a new asshole, and him saying, look, like whatever, his play sucks, whatever it is. What's up, Jamie? How you doing? His play sucked, whatever, but that's basically the coach saying, I can't trust you to protect your quarterback. And I think when Jimmy got benched at halftime, I think the O-line kind of did take that personal. Like, damn, they don't think we can protect our quarterback. Like, hey, I think I'm not willing to put my franchise quarterback, my $27 million quarterback, because y'all can't protect him. And as an O-lineman, you take that personal because, like, I remember hearing how Joe Staley almost fought people over stuff they said over Alex Smith. I mean, you could not – there was no saying anything against Alex Smith to Joe Staley. That's why I remember one distinctive thing where I knew Joe Staley was just – I was like, he's a Niner, he's a Hall of Famer. All that is – I remember it was Jimmy was only on the team for a couple of weeks, but Keanu Martin goes up to him and he says, spell Garoppolo. And he just spells it like flawlessly and everything. And he looks, he winks, he goes, that's my quarterback. And walks off. And I was like, that's why he's a Hall of Famer. that's why he's the best left tackle in team history, because he's like, bro, that's my quarterback. And so I think that they're starting some of that going on. You said it perfectly. Trent Williams is new to the team. As much as you can rah, these are my teammates, these are my brothers. I mean, let's be real. They didn't have training camp, really. They didn't have OTAs. They didn't have the things that make you bond. What makes you bond with your teammates is, hey, bro, you remember that day in training camp we were all tired of shit and coach was on our ass? And that's what makes you bond with your teammates, going through hell with them. And they didn't go through that hell this year. I mean, I'm pretty sure training camp sucked, but it wasn't what it normally is.
Right,
it wasn't that, oh, my God, I feel like I'm going to puke.
Level, I think, and that's what allows you to kind of get into them more, because the last thing you want to do is get into somebody on a personal level, kind of calling them out, as a teammate, and, you don't quite have that respect on a personal level. Next thing you know, a little blood turmoil is going on behind the scenes. There starts being a little chat between different offensive linemen and all that. You know what I mean? And thank God it's coming together in fruition. And my point is going to be, too, is go back to what you do best. And I mean, literally speaking, even though we might not agree all the time, it's like, people have complained about Shanny running the ball more, especially when it's working. It seemed like we've gone back to the basics and what we do best, running the ball, play action, the whole run around, and don't put your, obviously, offensive line in position to have to pass protect, especially on longer step drops, because either you're from behind or just simply doing it to play some chess when, once again, the running game is working so well. So it's like, let's go back to what we do the best, especially when your pass protection is struggling.
Look, does Shanahan completely trust Jimmy? No. You feel me? I think that's pretty clear. But is it somewhat of a, do I care? No. Because, I'm not saying Jimmy's a cheerleader. Jimmy, look, to me, I think Jimmy can do it. Let's not forget what Jimmy did in New Orleans last year. Let's not forget that Jimmy had the best fourth quarter in Seattle with the division on the line that we've seen from a Niner quarterback in a very, very long time. Jimmy, I do believe Jimmy's the one. But, yes, what I see is when you can take a team's manhood and you can dominate, like look, part of that Patriots game looked like the NFC Championship game, where it was just like, look, we're going to run the football and you can't stop us. And we're just going to keep on running it because you're not going to stop it. And
one bonehead throw. Other than that, I think he's put together two really good games back to back. Besides the bonehead overthrow, and the commentator brought up he might have saw somebody last minute, so kind of caused a reaction to his hand to throw it up a little further up. And besides that one, I mean, I think really overall, the other one, the second interception was more about taking a shot right before halftime. So I'm not really gonna say I won't count it, but nothing was really gonna happen there.
And Kyle Shanahan said that that's on the receiver to make sure that ball's not intercepted. So he put that on the receiver. That's Jimmy
got to become a defender.
That's Jimmy trying to make a play. I do not blame him on that one. And let's be realistic. A coach's job is to put his players in the best position to succeed and to play to his strengths. And so if Jimmy is elite, or, the best rated quarterback at short passes behind the line of scrimmage, and it's working, why would we do anything else? Jimmy struggles to throw the deep ball. Okay, he does. I think this is, look, let's be real, that's a touchdown to Brandon Ayuk. He threw him out of bounds. I mean, whatever.
I thought he did that to make sure the defender can't go nearby in order to make a play on it. So he rather took the safer throw. But I get what you're saying.
The point is that's fine, and it's very easy to point to the Emmanuel Sanders play, and all that. And look, okay, fine. As what did I say after the Miami game? We're starting to slowly develop and learn who Jimmy Garoppolo is. We're starting to get enough of seeing him enough time to say, okay, these are things that we know about him. But, he does that's a championship level offense. Like that, we saw an offense that looked very similar to what we saw against New England. Take this team to 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes away from winning a championship. And last time I checked, number 10 was under center during all that. And so, can we get better? Yes. But I think, can we rest off the fact is that We all know if Kyle Shanahan had his choice of quarterback, which you could say he did, but if the Niners move on from Jimmy Garoppolo, it'll be Kirk Cousins. That's what I'm going to put my money on. And I say, God, no, please. Because I'll take whatever I can get from Jimmy Garoppolo, his one boneheaded Jimmy throw, than Kirk Cousins any day. And so that's why I'm like, look, if you can tell me the Niners can get prime, pissed off Aaron Rodgers, sure, yeah, okay, bye, Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Fine, cool. But we're not going to. If you can,
I don't know.
Okay, so you want no? I don't want Matt Ryan for fine 2016 and everything like that. But you also got to look at this salary cap situation. Let's be real. You want to, so you're not going to be able to bring on Matt Ryan, okay, and re-sign Trent Williams and bring back K1 or Richard Sherman or somebody from the secondary, because I'm sorry, we can't just go draft a whole new secondary. This ain't 1981, and this ain't Bill Walsh. Like some players are going to be back from that secondary. You just can't go out and replace a whole secondary in the middle of a championship window.
My whole point is to stick on point. To stick on point. I don't think if that happens, and let's be honest, hopefully that doesn't happen whatsoever, and Jimmy ends up finishing the year strong. By definition of strong, I don't know quite yet. It's only mid-season, and obviously, I think we're all hoping for Jimmy to pull it off. Obviously, he's here next year, but I'm just saying, an alternate scenario, I wouldn't mind having Matt Ryan instead if the Falcons somehow in a position to either get somebody else, either draft or free agency, and being reunited with Shanahan, which he's won an MVP before. So, and how much would the salary increase be? What, maybe? I don't know what Matt Ryan's contract salary hit looks like for next year, but let's just say
it was like 40
million. And you think 40? I don't think it's that high.
I thought it was this. Yeah, that's what I had heard reported on KNBR.
And I get your point. So, maybe it's maybe. Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe it's what I heard on KNBR. So wrong.
If it's 40, yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. So that's my thing. No, if it's a $5-10 million difference from
if it's 10 and ends up being a 1 year thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's something. Look, do I think that they'll think about upgrading the position? Yeah. I wouldn't even be surprised if we draft a quarterback. And somehow bring a quarterback. I think that. I am a firm believer of competition brings out the best in people. I really do believe that. I think it's no secret that one of the only years Joe Montana led the league in passing touchdowns and yardage is the year that we traded for Steve Young. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that got the best out of Steve Young and that got the best out of Joe Montana. And look, the best out of Joe Montana is insane. So, I think this is going to bring out the best in Jimmy Garoppolo. But what you also understand is football is such a locker room sport. And Lynch and Han have been very open about building the locker room and the culture of the locker room and wanting a great locker room and a locker room that loves each other and goes out to war. And so you're not going to just upset that. If in that locker room, Jimmy Garoppolo is the one. I believe that there are some people on that team that will fight you over Jimmy Garoppolo. I honestly believe that. And so that's not – now, every player in that locker room also understands it's a business. They're always looking to replace you. You feel me? The day you sign that contract, they're already looking for somebody to replace you.
Right.
So everybody understands it's a business, but that's not something you're just going to do willy-nilly. Because sometimes it's not about, oh, I love this person. It's, okay, well, who are we going to bring in? You could trade anybody on the roster. You could trade Nick Bosa if you wanted to. If somebody's willing to give us 3 first rounds for Nick Bosa, of course you're going to entertain that. But then what's going to be the ultimate decision? Okay, who do you bring in to replace Nick Bosa? Are the maybe 2 to 3 edge rushers that you could possibly say that are better than him in the league, are they going to be available? No, then you're not making that trade. Because it's not necessarily, you want the 3 first rounders, but what are you going to replace it with? And that's I think people always think, oh, well, we need to get rid of Jimmy. Okay, well, who are you going to replace him with? Shanahan needs to get fired. Okay, well, who are you going to bring in as coach? Fire Sala. Okay, who are you going to bring in as D coordinator? I mean, that's fine. You can fire anybody you want, but who are you going to?
Yeah.
And I think that what we need to learn is we've become so spoiled, and I think that we, myself included, dynasty and all this, but let us not forget the attitude a lot of people had that we can easily replace Harbaugh. Oh, anybody can close dishwasher. Now, obviously, we all know that the offseason of 2015 was the offseason of hell, and how much talent that we lost. But something tells me not all that. Something tells me that Patrick Willis and Justin Smith saw the writing on the wall. I think that's what happened. I think that if Harbaugh was kept as coach or Fangio came in to replace Harbaugh, I don't think Justin Smith or Patrick Willis retired. And I think that maybe 2015 looks a little bit different. But anyway,
they could have made a difference, though, in my opinion, to go from 6-10 and maybe be the difference of squeaking in the playoffs at 9-7. I mean, I think those those guys.
We were 5-11. Do you think Patrick Willis?
Okay, I thought it was 6-10. My head.
So we were 5-11. But I
probably
think
would have
Patrick
been a
Willis and
Justin Smith. You never know, though, with the leadership and all that we lost. It just felt like a brand new team. Let's be honest.
It did. Oh, it really was. It clearly was. But I think Harbaugh might have been 9-7. Like, so the thing about it is clearly the attitude of anybody can coach and coach this team is wrong. Let us not forget, the offensive production is there. Even in 2017, we saw that people were open. We saw that the system is there. Shanahan is, at least offensively, as far as play caller, play designer, we're fine. So you can't upgrade. I don't feel that there's anybody up here that could be an upgrade over Kyle Shanahan. We're fine, and Lynch Shanahan we trust. And I think what you're starting to see is, dare I say, John Lynch, if we can make some serious noise, I think John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan should be up. John Lynch for Executive of the Year, and Kyle Shanahan should be up for Coach of the Year. When you lost Nick Bosa, and look, we've all seen the injury list, but if we can maintain we're a top 5 defense right now. If we can maintain that over the course of the season, man, Robert Saleh is gone. If we can maintain this level of defensive play. And B, I dare say, I don't know if the assistant coach can win Coach of the Year, but Robert Saleh should be the first if no one has it. If we're able to maintain a top 5 defense and you lost Nick Bosa, and Richard Sherman has played essentially one game?
Yeah,
D Ford has played one game.
I mean, D Ford the whole season so far. DJ Jones.
And so what I think, and so Robert Saleh has his issues. He's not perfect, and we don't know how much is him, how much is John Lynch, how much is the DB coach, how much is Coach K, Chris Eric. But Robert Saleh definitely deserves his props. All right, I think we've kind of rambled on for a little bit long enough today. We're going to go ahead and get into it. The Killer Corn MVP of the week. Of course, I have to go with El Jefe, Jeff Wilson Jr. See all the stats and everything that we put about Jeff Wilson in the podcast. Adam, Jeff Wilson.
I'm just gonna go for good juju's sake. I'm gonna go with Brandon Ayuk, who I thought had a great performance last week, and we're gonna need him like no other against Seattle to do everything that Debo did against Seattle last year and more so, because he literally and I trust Shannon put him in a position to do so, but he literally needs to have such a monster game where it opens up everything. We know what Kittle does, so I'm not even gonna bring him to the mix, but Brandon Ayuk needs to open it up for all the other wide receivers. I'm talking the KBs, Trent Taylors. I mean, those are the other 2 biggest guys with Debo out, in my own personal opinion, unless I'm forgetting somebody for a second. But Dante's gonna be active this week and do something against Seattle, since he did play in Washington, and maybe that'll wake him up. He's had some good 2018 performances against Seahawks, so Is he going to be the sleeper X factor that just comes out of nowhere and has a game and maybe builds himself some trade value to go somewhere else? I really have no idea, but we need a monster game from Ayuk and anybody else that can kind of step up, because we're going to need it without Diva, man. I mean, that's all I got to say.
Brandon had 6 catches for 115 yards. I want a game like that. We need that type of game. I'll go ahead and even take 100 all.
Well, he's going to get all the Debo. He's going to get all the reverses and everything with Debo out.
Yeah, so we definitely need that. He just, let's be real. There were people who were a little nervous. I want to say Team Moore were nervous. It was more Marcel Harris. People were nervous about. I'm going to give it to Team Moore and Marcel Harris. Marcel Harris, no gators. But I think that a lot of people were that the eyeballs were going to be on them. It was going to be very clear that they were going to be targeted and they were going to be tested in this game, and they weren't tested often, but when they made the plays necessary. And Timor did, and I don't remember Marcel Harris' name getting called at all, which tells me that he didn't have any blown assignments. He didn't make any spectacular plays, but sometimes the best play that you can make is the right play. Sometimes we don't need the spectacular plays, just a solid play, and I think that's what he did. Your Bam Bam MVP of the week.
Ball needs to be split between the entire secondary. I really think so. I think that Mosley and Verrett, you didn't hear their name essentially called all game either. Mosley had a pick as well. A little of a garbage one, kind of like Jimmy Newton essentially just threw it just to take somewhat of a shot, and nobody, their wide receiver wasn't anywhere near by 7 yards, I would at least like to say. So Emmanuel Mosley was, great play on the ball just to make the pick. But, I think the entire secondary deserved it. And we're going to need them once again to step up hugely against Seattle this week, now that they're running and chucking a little more than I think they ever have, ever since at least the Pete Carroll era, I would like to say. It's gonna be Lockett, DK Metcalf. I wonder how the matchups are gonna go with DK. I'm not saying I think he's having a little overhyped because he's having a good season, but I wonder, are we gonna go with? Verrett is a bulldog, but are we gonna maybe put a kill on him just for simple, more size purposes? I'm not quite sure how that's gonna work, but it's gonna be interesting to see. I think Chris Carson's gonna be out, so I'll take that. It's something. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, I'll take that too. We'll definitely get to y'all later in the week on Friday. Time TBA, we like to go around the same time, but I like to watch the Shanny press conference. So we'll definitely see y'all Friday. Appreciate everybody. Make sure to go check out Good Morning Niner Empire today, and also get your revenge tour, your gold red is for royalty, gold is for glory, and your Raheem Najee t-shirts from Niner Faithful Radio Shop. We shall see y'all next week. Make sure to follow, or on Friday, make sure to follow Adam at 49ers Insiders. You can follow Niner Faithful Radio on Facebook and Instagram at Niner Faithful Radio, and on Twitter at Niner Faithful R. Till next week, we shall see y'all Friday. Same faithful time, same faithful channel. Till then, faith, love, and happiness. Go Niners. Oh, for super duper moderator, Miss Niner Faithful, for Jamie, Jason, Adam, and myself, thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all Friday. Peace.
Have a great week, everybody.